Hello and welcome to iOSDevCampDC 2020. My name is Njoroge and we'll be going through what's new in UICollectionView. A brief introduction about myself. I'm an iOS developer in Central Africa, and I'm also the author of the Grand Central Dispatch course on LinkedIn Learning. iOS collection views, or rather UI collection views, were introduced in iOS 6 as a way to help developers achieve grid layouts in their apps. When you want to create a collection view, there are three components that you should consider. Number one is the data. What information are you displaying in your collection view? And this is represented by your app's model. Number two is the layout. Where are you going to show this data? And this is the arrangement in your collection view, such as distance between the content or even the scroll direction. And number three is a presentation, which is a visual representation of the content in your cells. Apple provided these APIs to achieve all three in our apps.
I'm going to restart it from the beginning because I think my AirPods dropping to help the audio messed something else up. So that's why we had a little extra time, luckily. Okay.
Hello and welcome to iOSDevCampDC 2020. My name is Njoroge and we'll be going through what's new in UICollectionView. A brief introduction about myself. I'm an iOS developer in Central Africa, and I'm also the author of the Grand Central Dispatch course on LinkedIn Learning. iOS collection views, or rather UI collection views, were introduced in iOS 6 as a way to help developers achieve grid layouts in their apps. When you want to create a collection view, there are three components that you should consider. Number one is the data. What information are you displaying in your collection view? And this is represented by your app's model. Number two is the layout. Where are you going to show this data? And this is the arrangement in your collection view, such as distance between the content or even the scroll direction. And number three is a presentation, which is a visual representation of the content in your cells. Apple provided these APIs to achieve all three in our apps. You may be familiar with some of the APIs from iOS 6 to iOS 13 and may have used them in the course of the years. Before iOS 13, you had to configure a collection view's data source by adapting UICollectionView data source protocol. This protocol tells the collection view what cell to display, how many cells to display, which section to display the cells in. Diffable data source was introduced in iOS 13 and abstracted a significant amount of the code from the UICollectionView data source logic. NS-diffable data source stores the sections and items you want to display in the specific order you want to display them. Section snapshots tell your collection view what data to display. Section snapshots are used to represent the data for a single section. You can display different information on your app in different layouts, as you can see in the example. Or you can present the same data with different layout in different sections. And you can also define what happens when the user interacts with the data in these sections. Anytime you want to put new changes or new data to your collection view, you create a snapshot, populate the snapshot with the list of descriptions you want to display, and then apply that snapshot. Diffable data source will take care of issuing the changes to the UI element. We also had the introduction of list configuration, which helps you achieve table-like appearances in your app. Your appearances can be grouped, plain, insert grouped, and for iPadOS, you have sidebar plain and sidebar. List configurations are highly flexible and customizable. You can also create lists using the per section setup, where you are able to customize your layout on a per section basis. Or you can create lists using UI collection layout list configuration, as you can see in the Hello World example. This year, we also saw the introduction of a new subclass of collection view cell called list cell. Contrary to their name, they are not meant for creating lists only. You can use them anywhere where a regular collection view cell is used. You can use the list cell to achieve separators in your layout using the separator layout guide. You can achieve indentation, add swipe actions to your cells, or you can add accessories to your cells. Apple also introduced a new way of configuring a cell by using default configuration. You first ask the cell for default configuration. This always returns a fresh configuration without any content set on it. After you set up content, apply the configuration to the cell by setting it to the content configuration property. We never directly touch a UI label or UI image view directly like before. All the properties are set on the configuration itself. You may ask yourself, what are configurations? Configurations describe the appearance of a view for a specific state, for example, content, styling, metrics, and behavior. You use it to style your cells and configure your content. There are two types of configurations. We have background configuration and content configuration. Background configurations help you specify common background appearances. Here we have added corner radius, stroke color, and stroke width. Using content configuration, we have applied some styling to the content in our cell, such as fonts, alignment, and directional layout margins. But you're not only limited to this, you also have the option of using your own customizations. With all the cool new updates added to the collection view, there isn't that much difference from UITableViews. I hope now you'll find yourself using collection views more when you want to build lists in your app. Thank you.
Okay, I can go ahead.
Yep, you can.
Okay, yes. So yes, I know that was short and sweet, but to summarize just everything, or rather to give an overview of what I found interesting in UI collection views was that a lot of what was introduced was, especially when it comes to data, was what was built, or rather, it was a build-up of what was already introduced in iOS 13, which was differable data source. And for the list cell, I also find that very intriguing that now I actually don't need, like if I need to create a table view and a UI collection view in my app, I don't need to use either or, I can use just one. And in this instance, that will be the collection view. So I hope in the presentation that came out well. And if you really have any questions, I'm open to answer them now.